Welcome to the Mind Your Wedding Business podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Dennis. In addition to leading the charge at Wedding IQ, I also run Fantasy Sound Event Services, a lighting and entertainment company based in Livermore, California, that I founded over 30 years ago. Each week on this podcast, you'll hear thought-provoking and empowering interviews with wedding professionals who have found success in the industry. If you're a business-minded wedding pro who loves love, but also cares about their bottom line, buckle up and get ready to learn from a new industry expert each week. All right, folks, welcome to another episode of Mind Your Wedding Business. I'm here today with Loni Peterson. How you doing, Loni?
So good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So I'm really excited to have you here today. We had Loni out and she came and spoke to our little networking group. So I got to meet and hang out with Loni, and I'm really excited to sit down and do a podcast interview with you here today. So I'm excited to jump in. All right. So Loni, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how we got you here today?
Absolutely. So I have been in the events industry for over 15 years, and I'm currently a full-time professor at CU Boulder, and I teach in the advertising, PR, and design department of the communication college. So I currently own LP Creative Events, and we do majority weddings. I do have experience in nonprofit, fundraisers, experiential large-scale events. So I think because of that event history, I bring a unique eye to weddings, and I really like to bring my college classroom topics to wedding pros because I think everything is interchangeable and everyone can continue learning. You gotta keep learning.
It's funny you say that because it's like you can read anything, any kind of business thing, and you can apply it, or any kind of even behavioral thing and apply it to your business. So
Hmm.
I think we get so wedding minded sometimes that we forget that there's other things out there other than
Yes.
weddings. So, all right. So today we're talking about Inside Out, uncovering the hidden truths of consumer behavior.
Yep.
So as we get started, let's start with the basics. So how do you define consumer behavior, and why is it especially important for wedding professionals to understand?
Absolutely. So when we are looking at our potential new clients, they want to feel like they're hiring a best friend. You want to put
Mm,
yourself out there like your truths, you're being authentic. And so when you've got people surfing all different types of social platforms, websites, so many options, you want to find that personal connection with potential clients, and you want to be able to click with them because as a planner, I'm working with them for 12 to 18 months. So I want to be sure we're a good fit. And what insights really teach you how to do is to create a formula of putting the data with an emotion, and it helps you
mm,
create an understanding of how your consumer interacts with your brand and how they buy stuff.
hmm. I love it. All right. So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions you see business owners have about how couples actually make decisions?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of the let's like throw spaghetti at the wall and see what happens. Where in marketing and teaching these classes, you have to start everything with data. You have to know your audience, and you have
Hmm.
to really stop and think about where they live, where do they spend their money, what's happening in the economy, how do they emotionally connect. And especially with Gen Z and our younger generations that are eventually coming into our new client pool, they care about their values. They want to
Yeah.
be giving their money where it impacts them. And I mentioned this a couple times the past weeks I've been speaking is we're leaving influencer marketing and heading into impact marketing. So
Mm,
we're no longer being, played by, Kim Kardashian told me to buy this lip gloss, so I'm going to buy it. It's how does this brand impact me, and do I find value in it, and am I going to invest my time and my money into this thing? So trying to figure out how to position your business in the best way to fulfill this impact marketing, especially for this younger group of kids that are coming up now to be engaged
yeah.
and ready to move on to the next chapter of their lives.
Yeah. We always get older, but our clients stay the same age. We
Uh,
hear that a
you
lot.
know, I know one of my college kids last year, she's like, "You're 29." I go, "Yes, yes, I am.
Yes, I am. And
Yes, I am.
don't you forget it.
That's
All
right."
right. So you were talking a little bit about emotions. So why do emotions play such a powerful role in purchasing decisions, particularly in the wedding space?
Yeah, so a wedding day, emotional, step one. Lots of money's involved, and different people have different relationships with money, whether they've either grown up in a
Mm,
household with a ton of money, no money, they've earned their own money, they're paying for the wedding themselves, their parents are helping. There's so many different situations that you have to consider on an emotional level when it comes to paying for vendors on their wedding day, having this like dream thing that their day is going to be like. It's a lot to consider all at once. So understanding where they want to put their money because of an emotional connection will make sure that they are tied to you and they feel good about the investment. Sometimes we get parents that are like, you should do this, you should do that. And then the clients aren't really into it because they're not emotionally attached to the decision that they're making because someone else is
Mm.
telling them what they got to do.
Yeah, and do you think maybe a little bit now weddings are becoming a little bit more non-traditional, and so people are doing it their own way, where is that like a disconnect between, like, the parents and the couples getting married?
Yeah, I think there is still a group of parenting out there that's, living their dream that they never got to have. It's definitely
Mm,
still in the mix. I think folks are waiting till they're a little bit older and older, late mid 30s, not old, but they're waiting till they've established their careers and they have their own money. So then they're making their own choices and not you know, being told how to make their choices. So I think there's a little bit of everything, but we are seeing that the main pinpoint is that the decision needs to be impacted by them. They need to be value driven and they have to understand where they're investing their money. And I do have the benefit. My husband's a financial advisor, so I'll ask him every day, I'm like, 10 words or less, what's happening? Because you have to understand what's happening in the economy to understand what people are doing with discretionary income and how that then trickle down and affects the wedding industry. So if
yeah.
wedding season's going to be late, why things are slow. What I'm seeing right now is a short planning runway.
Yep.
So why is there a short planning runway? How does that affect my business? And am I accepting those clients? Because sometimes it's harder to have a shorter runway to plan stuff.
Yeah, especially for a planner, it really makes your life, you have to do everything instead of 12 to 18 months out, you're cramming it in the 3 to 6 months, and it's not
Yeah.
ideal.
And we're still
So,
booking really early, especially in Colorado. With these shorter runways, my go-to vendors are like, nope, already booked, already booked. So it's on both ends of the spectrum.
yeah, it really yeah, and it's nice because the couples that are out there actually booking early are actually getting what they want, and these other
Yes.
couples are having to settle, so
Yeah, and that's just it's hard to educate when it's their first wedding and they've never done it before and like, oh, I can wait at 6 months, whatever. But no, no, you can't.
Yeah, and it always makes me laugh too is because they have, like you said, unrealistic expectations coming into the planning process, and I don't know if they're not, taking the advice that's out there from all the different wedding websites or, magazines or, you know, ChatGPT, Google. I mean, there's so many different things out there, so
Yeah, chat's really making it tough for us out here to like really get the truth out there, but we'll make do.
yeah. All right. So you were talking about behavior earlier. So have you seen consumer behavior shift among engaged couples over the last few years?
Yes, I think it's less materialistic and it's more on experience. So how can we give the best guest experience because that's going to dictate how they want to spend their money. So it's honestly less on excuse me, floral and visuals but more of like let's make a weekend excursion, let's do an activity. I want to be at a venue that has lodging on site because I want to spend 3 days with everybody. So that's where people are, I think, shifting into where they're finding value in their money outside of the big and grand visual effects and good for photos. They want those experiences and memories.
It's funny, you made me think of a couple that we just recently did their wedding last fall, and they were all about the food experience, and
Hmm.
that's all they were worried about is from cocktail hour all the way through to the reception, to the late night snack, to
Hmm.
even little treats to go home with. It
Yeah.
was, they really it was the most food I've ever seen at one wedding, but that was what was important to them, like having that experience.
Exactly,
So,
and that's what mattered to them as a couple. They were foodies, and that's what
yeah.
they wanted to share that with their couples. And in Colorado, a lot of the times it's we love to hike and ski and be outdoors, and we want to share this special place with our guests. And so tons of logistics that go into getting people up a mountain and, in the area and like, "Here, get on a chairlift and be lifted miles in the air and go to a remote place that you don't have cell service." So it's a lot of trust involved in bringing these experiences to life for folks.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're one of a kind of experiences that people don't normal us city folks and West Coast people don't ever get to experience stuff like
Oh, yeah,
that.
it's
So,
so fun. It never gets old, and, I have, like, some planners that I look up to, I'm like, "How do you get to wear a cute dress to go to work?" I'm like, "I'm in my trail running shoes and a skirt," because, you're
yeah,
traversing a mountain and you're up and down and doing all sorts of stuff because on the terrain, just you never know what you're gonna get.
yeah, a little hard to hike in pumps or heels, huh?
Exactly.
So, all right. So, why do people interact with certain brands but not others, even when the services are similar?
Ah, so that goes back to your personal connection that you choose to have, your authenticity, and how people connect to your values. My personal business account has a ton of my personal life in there because, again, we're going to be spending 12 to 18 months together. I want to build a relationship and I want to find a connection point, and you never really know what's going to connect with somebody. I have two horses, and sometimes that's what brings people to my page
Mhm.
and to have my business because I kind of understand that world. So I think being able to show up authentically and find your values as a business and an individual, that's how you're going to bring in those ideal clients and people that are going to connect with you on a much deeper level. Because you're right, planning is planning. We're dealing with timelines, but it's the personality. It's how you're going to handle a stressful situation. It's how you're going to, you know, my nickname's Blonde Sergeant in the industry, so some people don't want that on site, and that's totally fine. We're not meant for everybody, but some people are like, no, I need somebody to be like, you're 10 minutes late and you gotta go. So it's being able to show your true colors and your values and your personality and connect, even though you are offering a similar service as your neighbor.
I love the blonde sergeant, but it's so true because sometimes these couples need someone else to be the bad guy
Mhm.
and really be the one that sorry, we have to go. The planner says like
Yep.
we have to do this, and so sometimes it's
I know.
easier having that. So I love the blonde sergeant.
And
That's great.
they
So
always try to be like, well, what about? I'm like, no, like,
yeah.
sorry.
And it was when you were talking earlier, something made me think of what experience I had. So I'm a huge Sacramento Kings fan. My basketball team sucks. I know that. But I season tickets and the whole thing. And I once had a bride that was a Golden State Warriors cheerleader pick me to work her wedding because she stalked me on Instagram and saw that I like basketball, and therefore
See,
we had a connection. And it was the cutest thing ever because even during her speech, she thanked everyone, and she said, even though he wears the wrong colors, and so, but we had a great experience.
yeah.
It was just funny because we connected on basketball, not even the team. It just
Yeah.
was an overall thing. So
Yeah, I mean that rings so true, and especially with people that are worried about spending larger sums of money. This is your in. This is your golden ticket. Is being able to find ways to communicate and to connect and be with them on these special days that are also kind of stressful leading up to it all, and a lot of decisions to make, and to be there to support them through that process. It's huge.
yeah, I love it. All right. So, what actually motivates someone to move from casually following a business to inquiring or booking them?
So there's like four steps people have to go through in order to make a purchase. They have to be aware of your business. So they should even have to know you exist. They have to experience it in some way, whether that's DMing you, writing a response on a post, or reading a blog, or hearing it from a friend or something. They have to experience it. And then they make a contact, and then they make a purchase. So you don't go right from I saw you on Instagram to making a purchase. You have to nurture that relationship the whole way through. And if you're not people aren't aware of you, then that's a problem, visibility, right? But then if there's
Hmm.
space for them to experience and try it on for size for free, then you're leaving some folks at that point in the process. And then what is that thing you can give them that gives them a chance to see what it would be like to work with you? And that can be so many different facets of that. But and traditional marketing is you have to be exposed to something 7 or 8 times before you make a purchase. And so that's that data driven structure of marketing. And this is that emotional journey of like awareness, experience,
Hmm.
moving into that I will give you my money for this thing. So it is twofold with that data understanding of who your audience is and where they see you. And then how do they choose to interact with you? And changing up behavior will only happen if you've done all of those pre steps.
Yeah. All right, good advice. All right, so why do some clients become raving fans who refer others while others quietly like disappear after the transaction? And
Oh
I
gosh.
say this because I literally we still have I did this girl's wedding almost 20 years ago, and she
Um,
still interacts with our Instagram page 20
mhm.
years later.
Yeah. I mean, you made an impact and here
Yeah.
she is still hearts and, comments and all that good stuff. Um, I think they stick around because you continue to engage and you continue to like put out this personal feel. I'm probably gonna ruffle some feathers, but I text my clients. I don't mind the text. I'm chronically on my phone, emails, whatever. So if I can find a moment to be able to like, oh, I saw something and thought of you, share an Instagram story or a photo or a link to something, trying to find those in between moments to really connect with those clients. That's what's gonna keep them coming back 20 years later and liking and hearting your content and sharing their experience with their friends and family. I think looking back on how I have built relationships with different clients came very clear in 2025. I was at a wedding in Piney River Ranch. I was obviously managing it. I had 5 clients at that one wedding, and they
Oh my
all
God.
referred each other. And so we took this big photo, and it was just so fun and really
Oh, that's so
exciting.
awesome.
Yeah, so I had like done one 2 years ago, one the year before, and then this one, and then I had 2 in the future, and they were all at each other's weddings. So that was super fun. And so you just have to take a moment and reflect. You're like, how did I treat them? What was our relationship like? How was that experience to make them all be at the same place? Because they're all friends, but then also refer me when, they found out they got engaged. That was really, really fun to be at that and see everybody in one place.
That's some powerful marketing right there. The
Yeah.
photo right there.
I know it's on my grade. You can check it out. And the
Yeah.
professional photographer caught it. We like did this whole picture. It was so fun. So I think that just is proof that you're doing something right, and people are coming back 20 years later. So the other thing I have myself on repeat is just stay the course. Don't change too much, because it's all cyclical. It's gonna come back. You're gonna have highs and lows, but if you create something that's consistent on what people can expect from you, you're gonna make it. So just stay the course. You're doing a good job.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think you're ruffling feathers with the text
Right.
messaging either, because Tom Shalednik from the Knot spoke at the local wedding group that we had you out,
Yeah.
and he basically said if you are running your business the way you were running it 3 years ago, uh, in the next 2 years, you're going to be non-existent. Like you
Mhm,
have to adapt. And because
mhm.
the client, this is such a pivotal moment in time where our clients in the wedding industry are changing rapidly and
Yeah.
faster than ever. And if you continue to, nope, this is how I've always done it and I'm always going to do it this way.
Mm.
I mean, he flat out said, you're probably going to be out of business. So
Yeah.
adapting to things like text messaging and adapting to where you're meeting them and all that kind of stuff, you have to adapt or die.
You do. And I
Yeah.
really owe it all to my teaching, because I'm in a classroom 8 hours a day, twice a week for with the Gen Zs, and I am like up to speed with what's happening, and how they're processing stuff, how they like to interact, and where their comfort levels lie and why they're making the choices they're making. So it's been a fun kind of insider scoop to the generation as they're coming through this college phase, and kind of understanding their psyche a little bit. It's been fun.
It keeps you hip.
It really does. And there's a new word around it's low-kenually, so like low key and genuinely. I know. And so I texted one of my students. I'm like, "So should I try to sneak this in class on Tuesday?" And they're like, "Negative 1,000. It's a Gen
Oh,
Alpha word. Don't even try." And I'm like, "Okay, okay, okay, got it."
yeah, thank God you had someone to tell you, because if
Well,
you
I have a good
yeah.
system here.
All right, so you talk about uncovering hidden truths. What are wedding professionals usually missing when they evaluate their marketing performance?
Ugh. That people are finding them the way that they were finding them 5 years ago,
Okay.
and that the referral process is the same as it was, and micro weddings are coming in, smaller guest counts, same big budgets are happening. So I think it's the idea of what you were just mentioning, not evolving with the times and our new clientele. But you can't forget that you've got millennial parents, and like understanding what their mindset is and how they were brought up and what choices they made. And so I think it's being able to have a better understanding holistically of who all your people are that are involved. And if you get too narrow-minded, you're going to miss a little bit
Mm.
of the nuance and how to communicate with whoever's in charge, right? Who's paying the bill, right? That's what I care about. It's like,
Yeah,
who
no,
do I have
yeah.
to make happy in this situation? So I think and not doing the research and understanding your platforms. You can do so much with your analytics on your Instagram, your website analytics. How are people coming to your website? Where are they going? How long are they spending? And understanding behaviors that way digitally will help you then to create specific content, when to put it out, and then tracking that I think is important. But this is a heavy lift, and we're super busy with admin and the day to day and being on site and all of the long hours that sometimes it's difficult to set some dedicated time aside for that data collection portion.
All right. Well, speaking of data, so how can business owners move beyond the surface level metrics like followers, inquiries, that kind of stuff to understand a deeper consumer intent?
So if your Instagram page is a business page, you've got a profile, a professional profile, really dive into all of that. They've gotten such better tools for the back end. Now you get like a
Mm.
30-day snapshot, which is so fun to kind of see on Instagram of like what happened in the last 30 days, whether it was new followers, who saw my content, who was it, and So utilizing that at your fingertips, it's free. And then really taking a peek at your Google Analytics or your website analytics and making the path of where they landed, where did they go to next, how long did they spend on each page, right? So if they're coming to you on your gallery page, guess what? My gallery page is going to be updated every 2 weeks, right? Keep it fresh. And the more you update your website, the more it'll start to trickle to the top. And I think doing SEO audits more regularly is huge because those change constantly. And, it takes like 30 to 60 to really see benefits from your SEO. So being able to like quarterly take a peek at that and see what's going on will really keep things fresh and you keep coming up at the top.
Yeah, SEO, we could do a whole probably podcast on it, but we
Oh, yeah.
just we just worked with Sarah Dunn and we
Yeah.
just went through and redid a bunch of our uh, stuff for our business page, and it was just amazing because just we did it about November, October of last year,
Mhm.
and we're already seeing inquiries for like venues that we've never worked at and just things that I was like, why didn't I do this earlier? This was
Yep.
like I feel like an idiot for not doing it sooner because
No, it's just so tough because there's 82 things you can pick from. So it's like, okay, where do I
yeah.
spend my time? And so it's like the magic sauce of the SEO plus adding stuff to your website and, the godforsaken blogs that you still have to write that nobody reads, but they still do work for you. It's like making time to write blogs. This past week, I was told I should blog like twice a month. I'm like, there's no way. There's no
Yeah,
way. So
we
much
try
work.
for once a week. And well, it's easy too because we try to push out podcast content on there, which makes it easy. But
Mhm.
then also, um, just trying to, I don't know. We just went to Wedding MBA and there was all kinds
Yeah.
of, and someone said you got to still get back to once a week. They said twice a week, twice a month is okay, but if you get back, SEO is going to love you because it just seeing fresh
Yeah.
content coming. So
Yeah.
the more the merrier.
Yeah.
So
And I think that also connects to TikTok. TikTok rewards you for consistency. And so
yeah,
does blogging and SEO. So even if your TikTok is 7 seconds and it's useless and whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you're like just cranking out content, that's your golden rule is just keep putting stuff out there.
keep feeding the algorithm,
That's
huh?
right. Until it changes again.
Yeah, well, yeah, which is I feel like it's ever changing. So that's another thing. You just got to again, you got to adapt or die, which we would go back to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tom said that, and that's been one of the most powerful things that
Mhm.
I've heard in a long time. Like I'm like, wow, okay, yes, we really need to do
Yeah.
because I see so many people that are like, no, I only talk to people on the phone, or no, I only do it this way. I don't want to do Zoom calls. I don't want to,
Yeah.
anyway.
I don't know. It's like I've got pretty dialed in time management. And if I can do something quickly and get it off the list, like that's my number one identifier of like, should I be doing this or not? Because that gives me anxiety is like seeing my inbox full and like messages not answered. I can't deal with that. I'd rather get the information out. My clients have what they need and we can move on and continue the conversation. And, but that's not everybody's style and that's okay because
No.
not every client's for me. And, it's just part of that process.
Yeah, we have a mutual friend, my older sister, that a lot of people know her as Megan Ely. She has a
Yeah.
zero inbox, and she will not. She ends her workday with nothing in her inbox, and I
Yes.
still to this day don't know how she does it because I can't. I can never get to that point in my life. But
I know I'm looking at 2 right now, and this one I've got 4 email accounts, and we're at, like, 7 emails total, so it'll be okay.
since we started recording,
Yes.
all right, we're getting there.
No,
All
you're
right.
good.
So, have you seen a consumer behavior shift among engaged couples over the last few years?
Yes, I think, again, less materialism and more into value and experience, and they want just their immediate people with them. They don't want they're I think they're also more empowered to tell a parent no, that they don't want the 200-person wedding. They
Mm,
want the 50, 60, and to still have the same, budget and opportunity to do it up big with experiences. And gosh, I think the question of should I even get married is coming up more often, which for us is tough, right? Because this is our livelihood. But, the housing market is really tough and interest rates are really high. And there's other really important things that people would like to do with their lives. And so they're having to juggle some really hard choices and think through what priorities they have and what they want to do. And sometimes that means a smaller guest count wedding so they can put down a down payment on a house and figuring out what that all looks like. And I know I think I had to grow up really fast, so I think everyone else had to grow up really fast, but, people are still learning about how to make priorities and where money goes and how all of this works. So, there's a lot of growing as you're getting engaged and then you're getting inundated with the millions of questions from people of like, what should I wear? How should I go? Whatever. It's just a lot. It's emotionally a lot. So, PSA, hire a planner. We're here to help get all those questions because I don't think people upfront realize what's going to come down the pipeline once they get engaged until it starts happening.
No, and it's interesting that you said they're having to make all these decisions too. And I find too, like we recently had a client that they were like the second or third of their friends to get married, so they wanted their wedding bigger and better than the last people. So, so if you're one of the first people in your friend group to get married, I always say that's the easiest because
Yeah.
there's zero expectations there. But for these folks that are like one of the last of their friend group to get married, well, we
Yeah.
can't do this because that one did that, and we can't do that because of this, and
Mhm.
it goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I'm also seeing a little bit of analysis paralysis and having a nice delicate balance of as a planner how to help push them along, to keep hitting their goals and making decisions, but without being too much because that's gonna make them back off. And so it's learning a new understanding of how people are working. And so with the shorter runways and analysis paralysis, we're getting, hit from both sides. So, I'm still evolving and understanding the psychology behind all of this and how what their upbringing was like. And these kids that are in college now, they've lived through like so many school shootings that it's just like unfazes them. I'm like, I can't even
Yeah,
imagine what that has done to them and understanding. And it comes back to they don't build trust very quickly at all. So you have to spend the time to build the trust with them. And it's like little things here and there that will continue to build trust more and more. And so when you do have that big ask that comes across where it's like you got to do this in 5 minutes or we're toast, like then they start to trust and believe. But it's a slow process because I think they've been in really emotionally high and low situations in their youth, and so they're transitioning those feelings into their now adulthood with things like wedding planning.
yeah. I'm old, so I only went through in school fire drills and earthquake
Mhm.
training. But I heard that they active shooter training is a whole thing that they practice at school,
Yes. Yes,
and
and
it like blew my mind when I heard that. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
but then I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense.
yep. And being on campus, I've, been teaching at the collegiate level since 2019, and I've been through like 5 or 6 lockdown scare situations, and, the kids are just like, "I'll see you on Tuesday." Like, they just don't
They're not
like, it just
phased.
doesn't phase them. They're just totally fine, but as a teacher, I have to be like, "Where are my exits? How am I gonna do this? What's gonna happen?" Like, they're my priority, and I have to protect them, and
Hmm.
it's just wild how they're processing things like that, and it'll anything else that's serious in their life is gonna translate the same way.
Yeah, so it takes a long time to build that trust.
Yeah.
So, all right, are there specific questions business owners should be asking past clients to uncover more meaningful insights?
Yes, I think this is a really great form of primary research that people can do. So, primary research is something that you conduct yourself, and it's your information that you
Mm,
can do whatever you want with, and it usually is free. So, which is really nice for small business owners of any size to do some of this interviewing is really valuable information. So, I do this with clients that I've really enjoyed working with in the past, and I ask them straight up, "Why did you pick me?" And they'll usually come up with something that was a personal tie. I liked that you blah blah blah. I appreciated the fast response. Like I like that you were a professor. They usually come back with something that was a personal connection to what was made them aware of me and then why they wanted to
mm.
have an experience with me, which eventually led to making a purchase and hiring me as their planner. So I think that is gold mine of information of is asking those folks, why did you choose to go with me in the first place? And then listening to what those emotional reasons were and figuring out how you can then execute that on either your marketing or social posts or what you decide to put out there about yourself, because you probably will bring in more like-minded clients.
I love that. All right. Once a business owner uncovers meaningful consumer insight, what's the next step and how do we actually implement it?
Gosh. So just like marketing and advertising, there are so many things you could bite off and chew at one time. So it's important that while you're gathering your research and putting all of these emotional and data connections together, putting them all out in front of you and then prioritizing. I think we need to figure out first where should my energy go? Because yes, while all 10 of these things are important, what are the top 2? So for some it could be increased inquiries. For some it could be more referrals or, reviews on a website. Others could be I really need to boost my SEO on my website. Like, where are your priorities? And I say, start with the top 2 priorities and then work your way down. A lot of times you'll find once you start working on those top 2 priorities, things kind of trickle into those other 8 things that you've got
Mm.
left on your list. So I think the warning is don't do too much at once. Go 1 or 2 things at a time, because if you do too many, you're never going to know exactly what worked and what didn't work. So also being able to track your progress and understanding, okay, option A didn't work great, so I changed it to B. Oh, that's when it changed, and being able to understand why you're doing the things you're doing instead of just closing your eyes and hoping for the best.
Yeah, and especially because I feel like we as wedding professionals, we get burnt out, because we have our real job is being creative,
Yes.
and then we have the part that we have to have a good business model and everything that to keep us going. So it's hard to juggle that because all of us, I feel like, want to live in the creative side, not so much in the business side. So it
And you
really makes it hard.
absolutely can. It's then, is your priority paying someone to take things off your plate? So
Yeah.
you can then be more creative. So then we budget for it and we make time and space for that. Because if you're not living in your zone of genius, as they say, then your business isn't going to grow and people aren't going to connect with you if you're being bogged down in QuickBooks, if that's not your place of happy. Like, where can you outsource some cash and bring some of your joy back? I mean, that's half the battle of staying in business for as long as you have.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of wedding professionals go wrong. They'll try to become the web designer and they try to become the bookkeeper and they try to do all these things instead of outsourcing. And I just hear you see so many crappy websites, or you start, people having a hard time keep taking care of cash flow or any of those kind of stuff because they're not letting professionals help them.
Yeah, and I think it's tough too, because when you start out your business, you have to do everything.
Yeah.
It's a manageable scale when you start out, and then all of a sudden it's scaled to here, and you're like, oh shoot, I can't do everything after all. And so that's a very it's a tough thing to come to internally, to figure out, I do need help, and where do I want my time to be spent, and where do I find value in bringing other people in with expertise that I may not have.
Especially because we're preaching hire professionals to do your wedding. Don't go the DIY route, but therefore on the back end, we're doing the DIY stuff on the back end.
Yeah,
So
practice what we preach, do as
yeah,
I say. I don't know.
yeah, all the above.
All the-
D, all the above.
That's
All
right.
right. All right. As we wrap up, Lonnie, what's one strategy wedding professionals can apply immediately to connect with their ideal clients on a deeper level?
Your authenticity. Find what is easy for you to do and do that on social and do that on your website. Is it easy for you to put your face on the camera and talk for 2 minutes? Is it easy for you to send DMs to people that you think are doing a great job? What things are easy for you to execute, and start doing that and building traction. And then once that is a muscle memoried item, you can add on something else or expand or add another element, or, go into a different direction. But I think lean into your strengths, find what's easy, and then just start doing that thing. And then the rest will start to build after that.
Love it. All right, Lonnie, how can folks get in contact with you? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Yay. I love new friends. Instagram, LP Creative Events. And my email, Loni at LP Creative Events, LONI. And check out my website as well, lpcreativeevents.com.
All right. And we'll have all of Lonnie's information in the show notes, and we will be blasting it out in the email blast as well. So you'll be able to find all of Lonnie's information out there. So, Lonnie, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate, I can't even talk, but I appreciate all your professionalism and everything you taught us here today. So thank you guys so much.
Thank
Of
you.
course. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Mind Your Wedding Business, brought to you by Wedding IQ. If you've got a topic you'd love to hear us cover, or if there's an area of your business you're struggling with, let us know and we'd be happy to help. Don't forget to check out our other episodes on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're a fan, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and left a review. It helps more wedding pros find us and learn more from our guests too. Thanks again for listening to Mind Your Wedding Business. We'll catch you next time.